It started with the sound of silence. For 12 years, Daniel Pierce had come home to noise, the clatter of dishes, the faint hum of the TV in the living room, his wife's voice calling out from the kitchen. But lately, the house had become unnervingly quiet. No laughter, no greetings, just the low murmur of music upstairs or the sound of the washing machine running in the distance. That Wednesday evening, the air in the house felt thick when he opened the door. He called out. No answer. He dropped his keys in the ceramic bowl by the door, the one she'd bought at that craft market in Lancaster 2 summers ago. His boots thudded softly on the hardwood as he stepped inside. The smell of burnt toast hung faintly in the air, though no dinner was cooking. He called again, louder. Then he heard it, the creak of a floorboard upstairs. His chest tightened. Emily Pierce wasn't the same woman Daniel had married. Or maybe she was, and it was he who had changed. Either way, something was missing, something he couldn't quite name but felt every night when they lay in bed, their bodies inches apart yet galaxies away. They lived on Maplewood Street, a quiet cul-de-sac where every house looked like the next, trimmed lawns, flagpoles, SUVs, and smiling neighbors who pretended not to notice when marriages began to rot from the inside out. Emily worked as an art teacher at the local middle school. She loved her job once, but lately she'd been coming home drained, distracted, and vague. Just tired, she'd say. But Daniel had stopped believing her. He was a construction foreman, broad-shouldered, honest, a man who fixed things for a living. But how do you fix something you can't even see breaking? It began small. A new perfume he hadn't seen before. A laugh that lingered a little too long on her phone calls. Nights when she said she was staying late for grading, even though she'd always finished her work at home. And then there were the clothes. Emily started dressing differently. Not dramatically, just subtle things, softer blouses, new earrings, lipstick a shade redder than before. You look nice, he'd said one evening. She smiled absently, not meeting his eyes. Thanks. It was the same tone she used when a student complimented her art displays. Distant. Polite. Not meant for him. One Saturday morning, while Emily was showering, Daniel went to grab his phone from her nightstand. He'd left it charging there the night before. Her phone was beside it, screen lighting up with a notification. He didn't mean to look. He didn't want to. But the message preview was impossible to ignore. Last night was perfect. Can't stop thinking about you. His stomach dropped. He stood there, frozen, heart hammering in his chest. The phone buzzed again. Another message. You make everything feel right again. He could barely breathe. From the shower, he heard the water shut off. Her footsteps approached. Panic set in, he put her phone down, exactly as it was, and grabbed his own. Sat on the bed, pretending to scroll. When she came out, towel wrapped around her, steam following her into the room, she smiled faintly. Morning. He forced a smile back. Morning. And said nothing. For days, he said nothing. He told himself there had to be another explanation, maybe it was a friend, maybe someone had sent the wrong number. But deep down, he knew. The human mind can rationalize almost anything, but the heart always knows when it's being lied to. That night at dinner, he watched her closely. She talked about work, about a student who'd made a mess with paint. She smiled, laughed, gestured, but it was a performance, he could see it now. The pauses were longer, her eyes drifted away when she spoke, her laughter didn't reach her eyes. He poured himself a whiskey after she went upstairs. Sat in the dark living room, staring at their wedding photo on the mantel. Emily in her white dress, his arm around her waist, both of them glowing with a kind of joy that now felt like fiction. When had it all started to fade? When had she stopped loving him, and started loving someone else? A week later, he followed her. She thought she was meeting a friend after school, or so she told him. But Daniel's got twisted too tightly to let it go. He waited until she left in her silver Toyota, then took his truck and followed from a distance. She drove across town, toward downtown Lancaster. The afternoon light stretched long shadows across the buildings as she turned into a small parking lot beside an old brick cafe. And that's when he saw him. A tall man, mid-30s, with neat dark hair and a teacher's lanyard still around his neck. He was waiting outside. When Emily got out of her car, they didn't hesitate, they hugged. Not the kind of hug you give a friend. The kind that lingers. Daniel gripped the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turned white. He didn't confront them. Not yet. He watched as they went inside, laughing. He sat there for almost an hour, engine off, until they came out again, walking close, his hand brushing her back. Something inside him broke quietly. That night, she came home later than usual. "How was dinner?" he asked, voice calm, steady, too steady. "Oh, it was good," she said, setting down her purse. "Long day. I'm exhausted." He watched her pour a glass of wine. Her hands trembled slightly. "Who's he, Emily?" The glass froze halfway to her lips. "What?" He stood up. "Don't do that. Don't lie to me." Her lips parted, but no words came. Her face drained of color. "I followed you," he said. "Saw you with him." "The cafe." Silence. Then she set the glass down gently, eyes glistening. "Daniel, I don't." His voice cracked. "How long?" Tears welled up, but he could tell they weren't from guilt, they were from being caught. 3 months, she whispered. The world seemed to tilt. He turned away, pacing. "Why, Em? Was it me? Was I not enough?" "It's not that," she said softly. I felt empty. You stopped seeing me." He laughed bitterly. "Stopped seeing you? Jesus, Emily, I've been trying to keep us together while you've been screwing your coworker." They didn't talk for 3 days. Daniel slept on the couch. Emily avoided him completely, tiptoeing around the house like a ghost. When they finally spoke, it wasn't about forgiveness. It was logistics. Who'd move out? Who'd take the dog? Who'd tell her parents? He realized then that love doesn't end with a bang, it dies in silence, in the small decisions made over cups of cold coffee and sleepless nights. She moved into a friend's apartment 2 weeks later. He stayed in the house on Maplewood, the walls echoing with memories that now felt cruel. Months passed. He tried to move on, started running again, went out with friends, even went on a few dates. But no one compared. Then one evening, she showed up at the door. Her eyes were red, face pale. "He left me," she said simply. He stood there, unsure what to feel, anger, pity, triumph. Maybe all of them. She stepped inside. The house smelled the same, as if time had never passed. "I made a mistake," she said quietly. "I thought what I felt for him was love, but it wasn't. It was escape." Daniel looked at her for a long time. "You broke me, Emily." "I know," she whispered. "And I'll regret it forever." That night, they sat at the kitchen table, the same place where they'd once shared dreams, bills, laughter. "I want to come home," she said. He studied her face. The same freckles, the same softness. But something fundamental had shifted between them, like a bridge that had burned and could never be rebuilt the same way. "I can't," he said finally. "Not anymore." Tears slid down her cheeks. "I understand." She stood, brushed her hair back, and left quietly. The door closed behind her with a finality that echoed through the empty house. A year later, Daniel sold the house. He moved to Pittsburgh, started fresh. Some nights he still dreamed of her, the way she laughed, the way she used to hum while cooking. But in the dream, she always turned away before he could reach her. He learned that healing wasn't about forgetting, it was about accepting that some people leave before the story's over. As he stood in the empty driveway for the last time, the evening light caught the window of their old bedroom. For a moment, it looked as if she were standing there, smiling. But it was only his reflection. He got in his truck, started the engine, and drove away. The silence followed him, but this time, it felt like peace.